Welcome to Sunday night's edition of Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Week 17 has just 2 games left as we sit here recording. It is Sunday night and Monday Night Football, and for most of you, for many of you anyway, your fantasy matchups are wrapped up. So I hope it has been a great Sunday and a great season for you. If you're playing into Week 18, so are we. We've got full content for you in Week 18. If you're not playing in Week 18, every one of our Week 18 shows will have some 2025 content. Anyway, all right, full disclosure, I am going to win 2 of my 4 finals. I have a chance in another one, probably going to be a 2-for-2 day. Dave, how do we do?
I'm getting my butt whipped in the FFT league by Jack Capitorto. I would need a miracle to come back from that. My opponent would need a miracle to come back and beat me in my long-running keeper league. I am 50-50 with Anthony in the Draftathon League. He still has George Kittle and Jake Moody. I still have Drake London and Jake Bates. And we are tied at 119.
Nice. All right. Heath, you got any barn burners?
So, it's going to be a fun show, and I'm going to be a positive guy tonight. But I do feel like I should just apologize. Like, if you listened to me on the YouTube show today, I'm not sure I gave anyone good advice, especially if you listened to me about Adam Thielen or if you listened to me about Tyreek Hill. I hope you didn't start Dontavian Wicks over Tyreek Hill in any of your leagues. Wasn't a great morning, but it hasn't been a great day either. But no, I've got my most important league. I am ahead by 3 with Drake London and Jesse Bates against Deebo Samuel. And my second most important league, where I'm going my second championship in the last 4 years, both of them over the same guy. I am up 58, and he has Brock Purdy and Bijan Robinson. So some nail biters left, but hopefully I can win one of them.
As for your advice, normally your advice is golden, and you were not the guy who had the Colts DST at the top of his DST rankings this week. So that would be me. That was a huge whiff. Adam, congratulations to your Giants for a hard-fought victory over the Colts. I am sure you are beaming with pride over their third win of the year.
The most important thing, Dave, was we saw that the team has not quit on this group. We need to extend the contracts of the general manager, extend the contract of the head coach, and maybe give Drew Lock a shot next year.
He's their guy. Adam, how happy are you? Drew, you finally found a quarterback.
42 fantasy points.
Yeah. This is the most points the Giants have scored since 2015. And I really think the Colts DST is one of the big storylines from week 17. I mean, people are absolutely furious, myself included. Thankfully, I won. I won a league with 3 zeros in my lineup. That is unbelievable.
It's impossible.
I thought so too. But
not if you have Baker Mayfield and T. Higgins.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyway, let's get to some winners and losers here. And I asked you guys for winners, losers, and surprises. Jamey's going to join us in a little bit. But Dave, your winner was Adam Thielen. He started in 44% of leagues, and he had 5 catches, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns at Tampa Bay. Heath's winner, DeVonta Smith, started in 68% of leagues. He had 6 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns on 7 targets. Dave, Adam Thielen, hooray.
So Heath was right that he wasn't going to get a ton of targets. He had 6 targets. He just caught 5 of them for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. Total turn back the clock game for Adam Thielen, who just had great routes and got open against an inferior secondary in Tampa. Was very impressed with how this old man was still putting up big numbers, and we don't know if we're going to see that again from him ever again. So Adam Thielen, if you started him, kudos to you. Absolutely a guy that helped you win in week 17.
And DeVonta Smith also helped people win. I don't know if they were trusting him, but how many passes did the Eagles throw? About 20, I think.
It was low, 15 for Pickett, and then once he left, Tanner McKee threw 4 times.
Yeah,
he completed 3 of the 4, 2 of them for touchdowns.
Yeah, so what did you think of that performance, Heath?
Like I said on Express, I think it was a good reminder of just how good DeVonta Smith is and the risk that you take anytime you sit him. Even if you're worried about the quarterback, even if you're worried about the matchup, DeVonta Smith has the ability to go and do that. Put up a 30 burger on your bench when you started some 30-year-old has-been with a 40-year-old has-been quarterback.
Oh, you are sour, Heath Cummings. You are sour. Listen, if you knew that the Eagles, first of all, we went into this game expecting Saquon Barkley to run the ball a ton, and he did. He had 31 carries. And if the team's going to run the ball a ton, that means they're not going to throw that much. And this is rare. You rarely see something like this where a team throws 19 times with their backup and third string quarterback, and their number 2 receiver just absolutely feasts on a terrible Dallas defense. It was one of those things you just shake your head at. You're never going to be able to project that. They could play this game 9 more times, and in those other 9 games, DeVonta Smith might do nothing, and Saquon Barkley would have even more yards and touchdowns on top of it.
I saw this was the 11th game in Adam Thielen's career with exactly 6 targets.
Really? About that?
His previous high was 15 fantasy points with that number of targets. He had topped 10 3 times.
Right. And that's another team that didn't throw the ball as much as we thought that they would.
No, I didn't think they were going to throw the ball that much. Oh, Carolina.
And the Panthers?
I was thinking
no run game?
I was thinking Tampa Bay. Sorry. I
made a cinch that young.
Made a mistake. Dave, you are crushing me. I miss. Sorry. I missed.
Sorry. Didn't mean to.
Anyway, yeah. So I wanted to say something about DeVonta Smith, just something that Greg Olson said on the broadcast. Deron Bland was covering AJ Brown. He was more or less shadowing AJ Brown. And they had their second cornerback, who is really not their second cornerback because Diggs is out. And they were just picking on him with DeVonta Smith, and the guy
Andrew Booth
Smith was killing him. I also want to bring up something because I know I'm going to forget. Just in case you have a game, you still have something at stake tomorrow night. The Lions do not have anything to play for. So are we like if you have a scenario where you have Goff and Purdy or Jamo and who I don't even know. Like, yeah, I think you probably have Juwan ahead of him.
What about Jamo or Debo?
Okay, yeah. Is there any hesitation
or Groucho
with any hesitation on your part for the Lions?
It depends on how much you believe Dan Campbell, who said all week long that his guys were going to play, and I believe they did that last time they had a meaningless game. Their guys went out and they played a full team.
Yeah, Thomas was reminding me before the show that they did that, and Sam Laporta got hurt.
That sounds about right.
Still kept their guys in, according to Thomas. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was against Minnesota. All right, so we're not adjusting for that, but it's a scenario you should be aware of. Your losers. Heath, your biggest loser was Jordan Love. He scored 15 points. He threw 30 passes. Dave, your biggest loser was Davante Adams. He had 5 catches for 47 yards on 8 targets. So let's go to Jordan Love and the losing effort at Minnesota.
Yeah, and I thought, like, when I sent him in as the biggest loser, it was midway through the 4th quarter, and the stat line was much worse than it was. He had a 75-yard drive with a touchdown pass down 2 scores in the second half of the 4th quarter. But still, it was just a mediocre performance in the midst of a mediocre season in terms of fantasy production. He's going to finish the year averaging like 19 fantasy points per game. And there's reasons for that. Part of the time it was because the pass volume was just way too low. Earlier in the year, it was because he was throwing 2 interceptions per game. Maybe the pass volume's been low recently because of the interceptions he was throwing earlier in the year. I'm not sure. But I do think that, like, for now, if you're looking at Jordan Love and you're trying to decide, is he one of those low-end QB ones that we just settle for on draft day in 2025? Or is he someone I'm targeting because I think he could be a top 5 option? It looks more like the former to me than the latter.
Agreed.
And then I just want to answer this question. I'm sorry for the detour here, but should I start Amon-Ra St. Brown or should I sit Amon-Ra St. Brown for Drake London?
No, I'm not ready to make that switch.
No,
I think the only way I would consider it is if St. Brown was hurt, and maybe the Lions at that point would say, you know what, we don't need to play him. Why would they put somebody out there at less than 100%?
Okay, so Dave, Davante Adams, terrible game when it mattered most.
While I was watching the game today, there was a ring on my doorbell, and got up to answer the door. So ding dong, I answered the door. It was Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. They said, "Screw you," laughed at me, and then they ran away. What a terrible game from the Jets. The only guy that could do anything was Garrett Wilson, and it took him until the 4th quarter to score, and it took Tyrod Taylor for him to score. So
good.
We're going to see more of him next week. I got a feeling. So gross game, gross matchup, gross results, especially since the matchup wasn't supposed to be gross. It just ended up being gross for Davante Adams. Everybody had the confidence to start him. Still tied for the team leading targets with 8, but Rodgers just I think it's over.
Okay. Hey, we got Jamey here. Jamey Eisenberg. Hello, sir.
Screw you, Tyler Conklin.
See? Jamie's on the ding dong.
Why screw you, Tyler Conklin?
I'm playing him in a tight end premium league, and he had a big touchdown at the end.
He did.
Tyler
He had a
Conklin?
big day.
Yeah, our big office league.
Oh, wow. That's
So this big office league, you have to start a tight end, and it's tight end premium.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, and he picked the guy I'm playing picked up Tyler Conklin this week.
It's a big move. GM of the year.
Jamey, who are your winners and losers? Who's your one winner and your one loser?
What I send you, Jalen McMillan, winner.
Jalen McMillan
Big winner.
and the Colts DST.
Yeah, screw you, Colts DST. Jalen McMillan, I think the Bucs got an interesting decision to make because if they decide to let Chris Godwin walk, they have their guy as a replacement, and he looks awesome.
Yeah, he's another guy that's doing a lot on not that many targets. Yeah, he just keeps scoring. His touchdown rate must be insane over the last 4 weeks. It's what?
6 touchdowns, right?
6 touchdowns on 25 targets.
I just like clearly you're not going to drop Marvin Harrison behind Jalen McMillan, but just the rookie class of wide receivers that we have been blessed with this year, Brian Thomas and Malik Nabers and Ladd McConkey, and hopefully eventually Marvin Harrison becomes one of those guys like we expect, and Jalen McMillan. Like this group is awesome.
Yeah. And even Harrison had a good game. You know, he had almost 100 yards yesterday.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding, obviously, but
For him, it was great.
Just to see how this group could just be ridiculously fantastic.
And the Colts.
And we haven't seen Ricky Pearsall do anything yet. By the way,
Xavier Worthy came on strong.
Xavier Worthy, yeah. By the way,
He's the number 1 receiver for Kansas City.
The Patriots taking Jalen Polk over Ladd McConkey.
I thought about that because they brought that up on the broadcast, and I thought to myself, what kind of year would Ladd McConkey be having right now if he had been on the Patriots?
Yeah.
Better than Jalen Polk.
Definitely better than Jalen Polk.
Yeah. I think May to McConkey would be good, but it's going to be May to Travis Hunter, very possible. And that's exciting.
If the Patriots do that, they're stupid.
Why?
You got to get an offensive line help for that guy.
They're
going to throw a lot of money at T. Higgins. Whether he goes there or not remains to be seen, but that's the rumor. They're going to try and get Higgins. I think they're going to be aggressive in free agency. I think you got to draft offensive line.
I think you just trade 1 for 4 and Andrew Thomas.
Maybe.
No, the Giants don't need to trade. They'll get Cam Ward or Sanders at 4.
They're not going to have 4. They're going to win in week 8.
They're going to beat the Eagles next week for sure.
Well, Saquon's playing, so.
Well, he very well may play. He's very close to the rushing record.
Oh, he wants to break the record and break it against the Giants. It's the perfect setup.
It'll only take him a quarter. What does he need? 80 yards? Something like that?
101 yards away.
Oh, okay. Only a quarter and a half. All right. If you haven't signed up yet for BetMGM, use the bonus code FANTASY, and you're going to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. So here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FANTASY. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use the bonus code FANTASY when you sign up. Let's do our surprises before we go to break. Heath's biggest surprise of Week 17 was Marvin Mims, who is 4% rostered and scored 30.2 fantasy points at Cincinnati. 8 catches, 103 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
See, that's cheating. I thought we were going to just do Sunday because my original one was going to be Gesicki.
You can change it.
Nah.
All right.
Was I cheating, or did you just not know the rules?
Probably.
As if there are rules posted.
Marvin Mims was incredible. Looked like a guy who should maybe run more than 50% of his team's routes or see more than 4.5 targets per game on a regular basis. Just absolutely a breakout performance. A couple spectacular touchdown catches. Caught every target that he saw in this game. And it's been kind of a theme in the second half of his role slowly growing, and they're making more of an involvement to get involved in the backfield as well. I'm hopeful. that maybe Marvin Mims is a true third-year breakout wide receiver.
Speed.
Okay. And
speed.
Jamey's biggest surprise was Ameer Abdullah, who left with a foot injury, unfortunately. But he had, what, he have 100 yards rushing? Why can't I find him? 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 catches, 32 yards, and he didn't even make it through the fourth quarter. He was having a really good game.
It's not so much that he had a good fantasy game. It's that he was the lead rusher. And this is not something that we've seen from him very much in his career. And the fact that they just said, Madison, basically, you suck. And we're going to go with Ameer Abdullah because he's better and more explosive. And it worked out for them. And you got an interesting game next week because the Chargers may not be playing their guys for a full game. I think they will, but still, they may be one of the teams that might sit. And so do they go back to Ameer Abdullah as the feature guy if he's healthy?
As long as he's healthy, I think he's their feature guy. 62% of the snaps, dominated third downs, 3 of 4 snaps inside the 5. Jamey, your baby has grown up.
That's right. You were a big Ameer Abdullah guy.
I mean, it only took, between Dobbins and Abdullah, different teams, 10 years later, it's finally working out.
Shane Doreen's going to sign with someone next week. And
What a callback.
By the way, I got to say, I think you're absolutely insane if you think they should take a lineman over Travis Hunter. I'm going to say that right. Travis Hunter was the best player in high school. He was the best player in college. He's the best player in this draft. The Patriots should trade down and still take Travis Hunter. Bam. Roasted.
Okay. That'll help Drake May stay without getting killed.
Once upon a time, the Bengals had a decision to make like this, and they chose the receiver over the offensive lineman. And they found other offensive linemen. They could not find another receiver like Jamar Chase. And if Travis Hunter can keep playing like he's playing, there's not going to be many guys like him on this planet.
Some good offensive tackles in this draft too, though. So there will be a decision to make. And honestly, the Patriots might win next week. So this, they're going to be playing the Bills, who have nothing to play for. So that's, not set in stone that they're going to be drafting number 1. Dave, your biggest surprise was Malik Nabers, his best game of the season, 171 yards and 2 touchdowns on 8 targets, 2 long touchdowns for him. Big game.
The even bigger surprise was that the Indianapolis Colts defense decided that they didn't want to play past week 18. And all game long, they were just missing tackles or having Nabers slide out of tackles. And it wasn't just Nabers. It was Slayton, too. It was everybody else. The back 7 of that Colts defense sucked. They could not tackle anybody. I'm going to cringe when I look at the missed tackle numbers for Indy's defense tomorrow when I study their stats. But that's absolutely the contributing factor for Malik Nabers. Having his best game of the year. How many games this year has he had double-digit targets in?
Almost every game.
Well, he had 8 today.
Yeah.
And he went off for 7, 171. And
well, they're not used to playing with the lead.
The defense they played.
I will say, like, my 15-year-old now is still not like super, like, he's really into football and he's playing fantasy football, but like his brain understands the basketball strategy a lot better. And so he says, Dad, I don't understand. If you were Malik Nabers and your team had the first pick and you were going to finally get a good quarterback, why would you be making all of these plays? Like, why does he keep catching the ball? Why doesn't he just like he's making spectacular catches along the sideline? Just drop it.
Yeah. If he were Joel Embiid, he would not have even played in this game.
He probably watched the bowl games yesterday. Saw one guy quit and saw the other guy stink.
Yeah, exactly. So Nabers 76% started. Huge game for him.
Catching passes from Kirk Cousins. That's the problem.
I don't know.
I hope not.
Could be like Russell Wilson. Who knows? All right, we're going to take a break and come back and keep celebrating some victories here on Fantasy Football Today. Hey, we got Joey Wright in the crowd. He says, after losing in tragic...
No, don't show. Come on.
Jamey, what?
Rude.
What?
He's not playing Jamey right now?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
No. He lost in tragic fashion to Jamey last year. He has a 57-point lead with Goff and Jamison Williams on his way to... Oh, he's going to win the flex.
That's awesome.
That's great, Joey.
Yeah, I'm not... Good luck. I hope you pull it off.
I will gladly watch you accept the trophy for 2024, and then I will take it back from you in 2025.
Oh, he's facing Goff and Jamey. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, but he's got a 57-point lead.
Like that's good. Good luck.
Yeah. I didn't realize that I might win the flex best ball, the 14-team best.
Nice.
I'm in first place going into the week, and I'm having a horrible week, and I need Goff. Sorry, Joey. I need Goff.
Right. I need JMO. So the things that Adam and I need work against poor Joey. But he's got a 57-point lead. He can give up some numbers.
Yeah. I hope it's 4 point per passing touchdown for your sake. News and notes.
I believe it is.
Left in the third quarter with the ribs injury. They have nothing to play for next week against the Giants.
James, the question is, first off, are they going to let Barkley get the record? And if they're going to let Barkley get the record, you got to play the offensive line.
Okay, but they have nothing to play for in the standings.
I guess with Minnesota winning, right? Minnesota would have lost. They still had a chance at the 1 seed.
Okay, so James Conner left in the first quarter. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I don't think the Eagles have anything to play for, but
I think if Minnesota winning, they do not.
Okay. Sorry. Anywho,
So that means they're the 2.
James Conner left in the first quarter. Kendry Miller left with a concussion. Tajay Spears left with a concussion. Ameer Abdullah left with a foot injury. Devon Achane, I don't think he was hurt. I just think they were not using him. They were just kind of running in between.
He played well into the fourth quarter, but not his normal workload, no.
Yeah, and they were kind of like, I don't want to say they benched him. I think that strategically they were going with their bigger guys to run out the clock. Aaron Jones, on the other hand, Heath said he got stepped on. He was on the sidelines late in the fourth quarter. And huge game next week, Minnesota at Detroit to decide the NFC North. Jerome Ford left with an ankle injury, but then he came back. But he might.
He came back for 1 snap in the third quarter.
And that's it? He left after that?
He was done after that. It was Deontay Foreman and Pierre Strong.
And Pierre Strong got hurt as well. So it could be Deontay Foreman at the Ravens next week. Okay, let's see. Aaron Jones took get an update here on Aaron Jones. It seems like he's okay, but we'll find out.
You said Chase Brown?
No, I didn't say Chase Brown. Sorry about that. I mean, I missed something from Saturday. Chase Brown left with an injury as well, and could be Khalil.
They're a high ankle sprain right now, so we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, Khalil Herbert could be the guy for you next week against the Steelers. Okay. All right. Let's get to the top 5 at each position. Before we do that, if you have a minute, if you wouldn't mind voting for us, that'd be awesome. I don't know how much longer you'll be listening to this show with Week 18 and the holidays approaching, but if you have some time, go to sportspodcastgroup.com, click Vote Now, select the fantasy betting and gaming category, scroll down, and select Fantasy Football today. We won this last year. We want to win it again. So it's sportspodcastgroup.com. Vote for Fantasy Football today in the best fantasy betting and gaming category. We'd really appreciate it. If you're curious about some almost touchdowns, it was almost really a huge day for Ameer Abdullah. He had a touchdown catch overturned. Then he came up short again later in the game. So he just had a great game. Bucky Irving didn't score a touchdown. He still scored 23 points, but he had an almost touchdown.
I'm in a back and forth game right now where I'm playing against Mike Evans and McMillan. That play killed me. I have Bucky Irving. Killed me.
Which play? Oh, the Evans. Oh, yeah.
Bucky steps out of bounds, and then Evans gets a touchdown right away.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough. Devontae Smith came up a half yard short of a touchdown.
I'm so glad we made that trade, by the way. Thank you.
Which trade? Oh, the dynasty trade?
Yeah, Bigsby and Wandale for Bucky. Thank you.
You proposed it to me, and you didn't like it. You thought you lost it for a while.
Well, that was when Bigsby was on fire.
Yeah, so it haunts me that I had Bucky Irving and I don't have him anymore. Let's see. And Jordan Addison nearly had a 39-yard touchdown catch. Top 5 players at each position, and we really need to praise Baker Mayfield. I have to look and see what his roster percentage was in week 1 because he might be, am I missing someone obvious? Is Baker Mayfield the best waiver wire pickup of the year?
Is Baker?
Assuming he's a waiver wire guy. I'll go look at it.
I'm pretty confident he's a waiver wire guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think he is.
Especially when you consider what he did in the fantasy playoffs. I mean, 44 points today, 26.3 last week, 36 points at the Chargers. Amazing year for Baker Mayfield. Who's buying him for 2025?
Me.
Yeah.
Me too. Especially if they don't move on from Evans. Godwin comes back and is okay. McMillan steps up. Maybe they find an improvement at tight end. They've
So
got a great running game. This thing is going to keep working in Tampa.
You got the slam dunks at quarterback are Allen, Lamar, Daniels, Hurts, Burrow. And then there's a group that Baker belongs in right after that.
Yeah. All right. Other top 5 quarterbacks this week: Joe Burrow, Drew Lock, of course.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Are you mad? Or are you happy?
I'm not happy. First of all, there's nothing to be happy about. I'm not mad necessarily because I've talked about this before. Look, they won a game late last year. They fell to the, what did they have? The 5th pick? 6th? What did they have this year?
6. Yeah.
A 6th pick.
So they couldn't. Yeah, you're not mad that you didn't get any of the quarterbacks in last year's
But
draft.
I'm happy. I'm happy.
They wouldn't have helped.
Well, they could have Knicks.
I don't think they could have had the number 2 pick. I think they could have had, if I remember correctly. But I'm happy with Nabers. Like, I'm happy with Nabers. They missed out on Chase Young. They got Andrew Thomas. That worked out. So you shouldn't go crazy about this stuff. It's something I don't think, like, never have Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders been talked about as these generational franchise-altering quarterbacks. So I think whatever. It is what it is. But I'm not happy about it. There's no reason to be happy. Stupid win.
I wonder if the Vikings would be willing to shop J.J. McCarthy and pay Darnold.
Yeah.
How old is Sam?
27.
Really?
It seems like
Yes.
I don't think it makes any, like, unless, and I guess maybe they just don't feel like they've gotten to see enough of McCarthy, but they believed in him enough to do what they did in the draft.
But they didn't know that Darnold would do this.
They didn't, but you got a 3-year window of paying a guy $5 to $10 million a year, or whatever he's making, or you pay Sam Darnold $30 million a year.
But if you believe in Darnold and doing what he just did,
Okay.
do you give that up if you're Kevin O'Connell?
But is it because of Darnold that he's doing it, or is it because of O'Connell, who got great? Well, last year it was Kirk Cousins that put up big numbers until he got hurt. So I think O'Connell is actually the driver of this, and that would make me encouraged for McCarthy, provided that he's healthy and has the full offseason and all that stuff. And he's going to have that great receiving core to throw to.
And they'll have Daniel Jones around. So, like, they did this with Sam Darnold.
I think I think if you listen to the broadcast, Tom Brady does not seem very impressed with Sam Darnold. He just keeps calling him out for every bad throw he's making.
He had a lot of bad throws today.
Yeah, and he had a really good game.
Good throws too.
Yeah.
You just wonder, like, if you can get a first-round pick for McCarthy now, do you take it?
Yeah, that's tempting. Okay, let's go to the top 5 running backs for week 17. At the top of my head, like, I can't figure out who the top. Taylor. All right, Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if that's duh, because he didn't have like
Jonathan Taylor as a top 5 running back is duh.
No, I mean as number 1.
Oh no,
I didn't realize he'd be number 1. He's number 1.
He would be up there. Bucky's up there. Saquon, even though he didn't score, is probably up there.
So it's Taylor 1 with 27 points. Derrick Henry 2, 23. Bucky Irving is 3 with 22 fantasy points in PPR. Saquon Barkley 4 and Ameer Abdullah 5.
Just like we all thought when the season started.
Who are you buying into more for next year, Baker Mayfield or Bucky Irving?
Baker is certainly safer. Rashad White's still going to be there most likely unless they cut him, which I don't think is going to happen, or trade him. He's got one more year left on his deal.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still the potential of him sharing and losing third down work. But Baker, I mean, look, as long as Mike Evans doesn't completely fall off, if they let Godwin walk, then Baker's still going to have a really big year.
Bucky's a top 40 fantasy pick. Baker's maybe a top 100 fantasy pick.
Oh, I think he'll be like a top 70 pick, Baker Mayfield.
Okay. I mean, I do think that there will be people that won't buy into him again.
Well, here, I started, like I said, grouping them, the quarterbacks. You tell me where Baker goes. So, again, to me, there's 5 slam dunks. Lamar, Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. Then, as of now, this is the next 4 guys I have. Mahomes, Darnold, Goff, and Baker. Assuming Darnold's back in.
Yeah, Baker does belong in that group for sure.
And then after that, it's the huge group of Kyler, Richardson, Purdy, Tua, Nix, Love, Stafford, Dak, Herbert. Like, I think he's better than that group.
I've been thinking so much about 2025, and I don't even think Drake May is going to be a top. I don't even know where he's going to be. I'm going to draft a lot of Drake May, I think.
Sure. That's a smart call.
So when he gets
That's when they
Travis
get
Hunter,
a receiver.
yeah, when he gets Travis Hunter, he'll be a top 12 guy. All right. Moving on. Let's do our top wide receivers in week 17. It's T. Higgins, Malik Nabers, DeVonta Smith, Marvin Mims, and Ladd McConkey with a tie with Mike Evans. Higgins, Nabers, DeVonta Smith, Marvin Mims, Ladd McConkey, and Mike Evans. Any thoughts, guys?
I checked the route rate for Marvin Mims because Heath brought up just how he's been playing more. He still doesn't have a game this year with a 50% route rate. Why would they do that? Do they really value Devon Vele and Troy Franklin as better contributors over the course of a game than Mims at this point? I don't know what Mims has to do to show this coaching staff that he should be out there at least 60% of the snaps.
It's 2 years now of Sean Payton, though, just for whatever reason, not wanting to use him more. So there's got to be something.
Well,
Look at the way he uses his running backs. I mean,
that's because those guys aren't great.
okay.
He really hates Javonte Williams. Huh?
Yeah. Well,
I wanted to bring up that now that Oklahoma and Texas A&M are in the SEC, 5 of these 6 wide receivers are SEC wide receivers. How about that? And T. Higgins representing the ACC. Good for you, T. Higgins. Top 5 tight ends. Trey McBride. Hey, touchdown, Trey McBride. 30 fantasy points. Travis Kelce. Look at you, Travis Kelce. You're going to give us a lot to think about going into next year. You're going to have you're going to average 85 yards and a touchdown in the playoffs in the Super Bowl run.
who says he's coming back next year?
Tyler Conklin with the touchdown and 821 fantasy points. Mike Gesicki, and then we had Brock Bowers and Mark Andrews tied at 14. So McBride at 30, Kelce at 22 points, Conklin 21, Gesicki 18, Bowers and Andrews 14.
We're going to have a real race for tight end 1 in week 18, I think.
Is Bowers a first round pick next year?
I don't think so. I bet we're looking McBride and Bowers. I bet they're going to be the top 2 tight ends off the board.
Oh, without a doubt.
And everyone's going to say, "Oh, well, we'll just take the second guy. Don't take the first guy. Get the second guy." I bet they're both going to be second round picks, and I bet they'll both be like within 4 spots of each other in ADP.
I think it really depends on who the Raiders' quarterback is. If they go get a good quarterback, then I could see Bowers being a first round pick. If they're just stuck on the wheel of mediocrity, then I think he's probably a round 2 pick with McBride.
Why is he obviously ahead of McBride? I mean, McBride.
I'm not saying he is. I just think if we can say they were the same guy last year when Bowers was a rookie and played with 3 mediocre quarterbacks, and now he's got a quarterback upgrade, then he's definitely going to be ahead of McBride. If it's the same situation for Bowers, then I think it's debatable between the 2 of them.
And you know what?
Which one can become a touchdown machine? Because we're going to love them both for the volume that they get.
I would say it's hard to be a touchdown machine with Kyler. That hasn't really been.
Yeah, right.
Or with Minshew or O'Connell or Ritter or.
I think there's a better chance for him if it's a mediocre quarterback to be that number 1 guy in the red zone and to have more touchdowns than Trey McBride, who's now shown us that he has a tough time consistently getting touchdowns.
All right. Let's take a break and recap all the games when we come back on Fantasy Football Today.
Welcome to JJ's.
I'll have a... Wait, there's no way I can get a burger?
No chance, but you can have the NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount+. Oh, hang on. There's a toy.
We'll start with the
I
Saturday.
really think Adam says that to his children every time.
I had to have a very difficult talk with my 4-year-old today because she was sitting at the table while the games were on going, "Let's go Giants, let's go Giants." And I had to explain to her, no, we don't root for them anymore. You know, it was like she's growing up so fast.
Who's winning the FFT Open?
I can take a look. I can try
look
to
Monday. Don't look now.
Why? Yeah, I'll send out an update on Monday.
I got a text from somebody, one of our analyst leagues, happy that they won. I was like, I wasn't gonna look until Monday. See,
For what? For the leagues?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried not to look, but I couldn't help it.
I'm not in the final. I just
Oh, the FFT Open, you mean?
no, another league. I was like, I like somebody was like, I'm so thrilled I finally won this league. I was like, oh, cool.
I got to remember to win the leagues that have a bigger prize money than the magazine league. I mean, I don't even know what should I even do with that.
Are you winning?
Pay the rest of your league entry
was.
fees.
Yeah, right. Just keep it, Jamey. I'm sure I owe you that much money.
It's going to cover all the other leagues.
I mean, again, you can start the movement. Spearhead it. Tajay spearhead it. The movement to start for more money.
All right, the Chargers beat the Patriots 40-7.
No, actually, I think the people that complain the most are no longer in the league. So we can do more next year.
I want one of you to be a winner, one of you to be a loser, and one of you to be a surprise. Who wants to be what?
I'll be the loser.
He's the loser. Who wants to be a winner today?
I'll be the surprise.
Dave, you're the big winner.
Great, I'm the winner.
For
Dave's the
every
winner.
game we talk about, I want a winner from Dave, a loser from Heath, and a surprise from Jamey.
This is going to be fantastic.
Here we go. And we're going to try to do this in about 20 minutes. Let's go.
Okay.
Chargers 40, Patriots 7. Dave, who's our winner?
J.K. Dobbins is a winner. Showed us that, especially in the second half of this game, he started to play better, get back into the swing of things. And not only is he going to be able to provide the Chargers with a rushing presence through the playoffs, hopefully he stays healthy, has a full offseason, and he's the lead running back for the Chargers next year. I was excited. I know that the game started slowly for him, but he did come around in the second half. He had the touchdown fourth quarter, like early fourth quarter. But Chargers desperately need him to make this thing go. They're going to have a tougher time beating teams without him.
Hunter Henry is a loser. 0 points in the championship. 0. And he still gets to be on Adam's Magazine League championship team because Baker Mayfield and T. Higgins scored 200 points.
Yeah.
How was
3
that?
zeros on that team. JB, what was a big surprise from this game?
Gerard Mayo saying that Ramondre Stevenson would not start, then starting Ramondre Stevenson, then not giving Ramondre Stevenson any more carries the rest of the game.
That was so crazy. Oh, man, that was awful.
It's like he forgot to bench him, and so he made up for it by benching him for 3 quarters, basically.
Oh, yeah, I was supposed to bench you. That's right.
I forgot how much that guy sucked.
Denver and the Bengals. What a fun game this was. Wow. 30-24. Bengals win in overtime, keep their playoff hopes alive. Dave, big winner from this game.
Well, I don't know who's playing in Week 18, but Khalil Herbert might be a big winner. If Chase Brown has this ankle injury that just sidelines him, they're not going to have a choice but to go with Khalil Herbert, and that would be interesting for Cincinnati to give a guy with fresh legs the opportunity to play big. Otherwise, you can make the case for Gesicki, you can make the case for Marvin Mims. Dealer's choice, but those guys were winners too.
Javonte Williams, 0 carries, 0 yards in the fantasy championship.
Not on my magazine league team.
Did you know that he led the Broncos in snaps?
Yeah, he was. And he did okay in my snap league.
37% of the snaps.
Oh, the game's on. I totally forgot about the game. Jeez, Jamey, what's the surprise?
Big game.
Zach Taylor not understanding clock management.
Oh my
and
God.
almost ruining this game and allowing the Bengals to not even have a chance in Week 18 to make the playoffs.
So do you think he told Chase Brown to slide?
Yeah.
And then the explanation after the game was they decided to score because like the timeout logic was all different now because there was an injury timeout, so no one lost a timeout.
Right. Okay.
Take a knee for one play, kill 40 seconds of the clock at least.
I don't agree. I think once Chase Brown was hurt, they had to score. And if you take a knee, you might not score on the next play, and then you're kicking a field goal and giving them the ball with 45 seconds left. They only need 3 to win.
All right.
Score the touchdown, which they did do.
Big surprise. You could have gone with Mims or Gesicki. We talked about Mims. I don't think we're going to make
We
much.
talked about them already.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. All right,
So
Rams and Cardinals. Dave, Rams win 13-9. Who's our big winner here?
It's McBride. Screw that. It's Marvin Harrison. 10 targets, 6 catches, 96 yards. Definitely looked better than he had in the past few weeks. I should have known what his ADOT was before I started yapping, so I'll look it up. But for those managers that were desperate enough to start him, he came through with 15.6.
Cooper Kupp, 3 targets, 3 games in a row. I cannot remember a player who was great during the fantasy football regular season, and as soon as it got to crunch time, turned into such a pumpkin as you, Cooper Kupp. What a disaster.
Yeah, he's not ending the season on a high note. And Jamey, biggest surprise of the Rams-Cardinals game?
Biggest surprise of the Rams-Cardinals game that's not Cooper Kupp sucking. Kyler Murray had 300 yards passing, so good for him. The interceptions were not great, but did give you 20 fantasy points. So nice little surprise there if you still started Kyler Murray.
MHJ's ADOT was 15.6 yards, Adam.
Oh, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
So Kyler, I mean, what a swing with that last interception. Throws it in the end zone to Trey McBride. If that's a catch, he scores 20. Kyler has a 25 fantasy point game. It's an interception. He has a 17-point game. We'll go to the Sunday games. We're going to start with Carolina and Tampa Bay. Dave, the biggest winner from this game. 48-14 Tampa Bay. Go ahead.
I mean, Baker Mayfield probably deserves to be the biggest winner just because of the monster game that he put out there. He was incomplete on 5 passes. So he had as many incompletions as he had touchdowns against the Carolina defense. That's just, it's been done since week 1, but we expected them to suck, but holy crap. Baker Mayfield, biggest winner.
Rachaad White has been completely and totally and utterly supplanted by Bucky Irving. Just 7 touches in this game for 34 yards. He will not be drafted in the first 8 rounds of fantasy football drafts next year.
Biggest surprise, Jamey.
Adam Thielen getting the job done again. 5 catches, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Another 31-year-old receiver, just like I said at the beginning of the season. They're going to deliver and deliver and deliver. It was just back and forth between Thielen and Evans and Thielen. These old guys, never count them out.
Except for Davante Adams.
And I'll just say Bryce Young as a surprise, just turning his season around and giving the Panthers something to think about for next year. How about Dallas?
He's their guy.
He's not that good. You could, in theory, move on, but Dallas and Philadelphia. Philadelphia 41, Dallas 7. Dave, biggest winner.
Did the Cowboys find their running back for next year with Rico Dowdle? This was a tough matchup for him, and I know that he also got off to a slow start. I'm curious how many of his yards came in the fourth quarter, but I thought that Rico Dowdle over the last month of the season, he had 6 carries, 31 yards in the fourth quarter. So yes, but he's looked pretty good. I'm not saying that he's a great talent or anything like that, but if they had to go into next year with him as one of their starters, I think they'd be okay.
I just assume they're going to draft Ashton Genty.
Yeah, everybody thinks his point.
Yeah, we thought that last year. They didn't.
Jake Ferguson, no CD Lamb, huge opportunity. Sees 5 out of 29, 5 targets on 29 pass attempts for the Cowboys. Catches 3 of them for 18 yards and loses a fumble for 2.8 PPR fantasy points.
Pretty bad. Jamey, what's the biggest surprise in this game?
DeVonta Smith with just a monster game. Should have had 3 touchdowns. 6 for 120 and 2. The best receiver in this game. And A.J. Brown almost had a ridiculous catch. My gosh, for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the greatest revenge game ever.
Spell revenge ZACCHEAUS or something like that.
I think that's it.
All right, next game is the Giants game. The Giants win 45-33. Let's skip this.
I told you. Zacchaeus, I told you.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Dave, who's the big winner in this game?
Imagine what the Colts passing offense could be with Anthony Richardson being more accurate. Alec Pierce, 9 targets, 6 catches, 122 yards, 1 touchdown. Michael Pittman, 10 targets, 9 catches, 109 yards, and a touchdown. Ignore the fact that a bunch of the targets of both of these guys were like Joe Flacco YOLO balls that they just camped out under just outmaneuvered a DB to make the catch. And Anthony Richardson can do that much at least. But to me, this showed that if they had a competent quarterback in Indianapolis, they'd be able to have one of the better offenses in the league. They have a good offensive line. Jonathan Taylor's a stud. And these two receivers are definitely perimeter guys who can win contested catches and maybe even make some plays after the catch.
Josh Falls Downs 2025 wide receiver rankings and dynasty rankings. Just 4 targets. Joe Flacco was supposed to come back and save him. 4 targets on 38 attempts. Outperformed by Pierce, outperformed by Pittman, outperformed by Kylan Granson, who can't even catch.
Kylan Granson made a huge catch for them. It didn't end up delivering, but yeah.
He's had a terrible year.
I was surprised. Josh Downs had averaged 16.7 PPR fantasy points per game with Joe Flacco, and he got 4 targets. Alec Pierce with the 9 targets, 6 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. Surprised me. All right, Jamey. Those were surprises. Jamey, what else surprised you in this game?
F you bleeping Colts defense. What the bleep did you do to all of us? 45 points to the Giants. 45 points to the Giants. Go bleep yourselves.
Oh my goodness. Jeez. Giants.
They earned it.
Giants scored the most points in the game since 2000.
Jamey, any words for Gus Bradley?
Love you, Gus.
Okay. Next game. Next game is the Raiders and a 25-10 win for the Raiders over the Saints.
Nobody saw this one, Adam. We're gonna have to skip this one. No, nobody watched this one.
You just look at the box score. Angel Collins scored 21 points. Dave, who's a big winner in this game?
Who the hell am I going to call a winner from this game? Anybody who didn't watch it, probably. O'Connell had a nice stat line, 242, 2 and zip. He did have a touchdown to Abdullah called back. They ruled him down right before he crossed the goal line. That was early in the game.
Is he your winner, or are you just buying time?
I'm buying time.
How about Jacoby Myers? 5 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay, great. Super. He's a winner.
Who's a loser, Dave? Heath?
Alexander Madison. Like, one team thought Ty Chandler is better at playing running back than you. Another team thinks the corpse of Ameer Abdullah is better at playing football than you. You probably should not be a starting running back for anybody ever again.
Jamey, biggest surprise in this Raiders-Saints game?
That we talked about it.
Yeah, that was literally his biggest surprise earlier in the show came from this game.
Yeah, now the biggest surprise was what Jamey already talked about, Ameer Abdullah just usurping Alexander Madison. All right, and then we have Tennessee-Jacksonville. Tennessee and the Jaguars, 20-13. Jacksonville gets their 4th win of the year. Dave, who's the biggest winner here?
We might want to get used to the idea of Brian Thomas Jr. as a first-round pick. Just the way that he is closing his rookie season with Mac Jones as his quarterback is really impressive. Monster games week in and week out. And if we cared less about quarterbacks and we gave the Rookie of the Year award to players that really did overcome some terrible circumstances, I think Brian Thomas Jr. would be very much toward the top of the list. And this is a guy who's going to be an absolute fantasy stud for years.
If you thought it was strange that Brenton saw 11 targets in his first game without Evan Ingram, they fixed that the next 2 games. I think there was some talk from myself and others about the fact that, Evan Ingram could be let go next year, and maybe Brenton Strange gets to be a starting tight end for the Jags, and maybe we're interested in him in fantasy, and not so much.
Yeah, no catches on 1 target today. Jamey, the biggest surprise in this Jaguars-Titans game?
That we talked about this game.
No, come on. We got something.
That Okonkwo was not better with 7 targets.
Oh, man.
Dave, didn't you say they missed him on a big play?
Mason Rudolph overthrew him on a deep pass down the left sideline where if their timing was a little bit better, he would have scored long touchdown.
Okay. I'm disappointed. I told everybody in the world to start Tyjae Spears. We all did. I was super high on him.
He was great.
He was going to have probably a 16+ point game if he didn't get hurt.
He was probably going to score 5 times in the 4th quarter.
Yeah. It just, it was good to see him because, Heath had mentioned he really had not been having a good year. It was true. He just had such a good matchup, but it was good to see Tyjae Spears play well. All right. One more game from
Tony Pollard's going to come back in week 18 and no Tyjae Spears. against the Texans team that's probably going to be sitting guys, and he's going to get all of his incentives, which is going to be a 2-touchdown game and over 100+ yards, and really make a lot of people mad that had Tony Pollard.
All right, the Bills and the Jets. Bills 40, Jets 14. Dave, your biggest winner from this game.
Is it a cop-out to just give it to Josh Allen? Because I really don't want to give it to anybody else in this Bills offense. Keon Coleman caught a touchdown. It was on a crazy throw from Josh Allen, across his body into the end zone. Coleman had to leap for it. Kind of the thing that we expected Keon Coleman to do. It was a nice play. Amari Cooper's touchdown, 30 yards, awesome play. He was shaken up after it. Go back and find that highlight. It's worth it. But I don't know if Cooper or Coleman are going to be monster breakout candidates, or Coleman anyway, a monster breakout candidate last year or this year. What the hell am I saying? Doesn't even matter. Buffalo crushed the Jets. The Jets suck.
If you go into our app, which is I am checking the app all throughout the day, like the actual CBS Sports app that shows the box scores for the games. And in the far right column, it gives you the fantasy points the players scored. And if you go to Aaron Rodgers, it's just a dash, like he actually didn't play in the game because he didn't score any fantasy points because he had threw 2 interceptions and looked absolutely awful, made some bad decisions, took some bad sacks. And I don't really think that anybody should make him their starting quarterback for next season.
I think Breece Hall is going to be a really interesting call next season. He just hasn't looked like the same player since his rookie year.
Did have a nice run today, though, 17 yards.
Yeah, it was nice. He hasn't been nearly as good, and this was a total dud from him. And I will give Aaron Rodgers this. In decimal scoring, he scored like less than a point, I think. So, but more than 0, I think. All right, to the late games. Green Bay.
No surprise? Wow. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jamie. What was the surprise that we talked
I have
about?
none.
Okay. Green Bay at Minnesota. Honestly, one of the surprises was that Josh Allen only scored 26 fantasy points. Right?
I do want to give the Bills credit because the James Cook touchdown, they could have padded Josh Allen's stats a little bit, and Cook got down to the 1. If you saw the play, ran to the right side, dove for the pylon, missed it, and could have easily just had another push touchdown for Josh Allen just to give him another rushing score. Didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
So kudos to them for letting James Cook get that touchdown.
All right, Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings with a 27-25 win. Darnold with 31 points, Jordan Love with 15, and Justin Jefferson with a sort of quiet 8 catches for 92 yards. Jalen Naylor, a big game. Jordan Addison, a big game. TJ Hawkinson, a pretty good game. Dave, who's the big winner here?
The big winner is Darnold, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. And the fact that he put up those numbers without connecting with Jefferson for a touchdown, I'm not even sure if he had an end zone target in the game. But also only 92 yards. Man, that's impressive. Like, Darnold really is showing that total command of the Vikings offense, great receivers to work off of. First 2 quarters of the game, I think at halftime, Jefferson might have only had like 2 catches, 3 catches. Packers were taking away Jefferson, and Darnold was just doing a good job of finding other guys to get the ball to. So we're going to have an interesting question on where to draft that guy if he stays in Minnesota this year. Is he a late pick? You'd love to take him with a late pick. That's an easy call. I don't know
Darnold?
which tier you're going to put him in. Yeah, Jamie.
I just told you he's in the same tier with Baker for me right now.
Okay, so right now he is in that
He's a
second
top
tier.
12 quarterback if he stays in Minnesota.
Okay. No fear about any regression from Darnold.
Not if look, Kevin O'Connell's on a 1-year deal. I don't think that's going to happen. There's some talk about would a team trade for him. I doubt Minnesota would let him go.
Right.
If O'Connell is back and Jefferson is healthy and Addison is healthy and Hawkinson is healthy and everything is the same status quo with hopefully Darisaw back, let's not forget that, then yes, I will trust Sam Darnold as number 1 quarterback. I will take a backup, but I will definitely draft Sam Darnold as number 1 quarterback. He has shown me enough in this offense that can't believe I'm saying it, but he deserves the chance to have an opportunity to do what he did. Now he goes someplace else, no chance.
I am loving that second tier of quarterbacks already.
Christian Watson was out. Great game script for wide receivers. Great matchup for wide receivers. Jaden Reed had 1 catch for 6 yards on 4 targets. Fantastic first half of the season. Complete letdown, except for 1 week when he scored 2 touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah, very disappointing. Biggest surprise in this game, Jamie?
Biggest surprise, no targets for Josh Jacobs.
I'd say 30 pass attempts for Love in a game where they were losing by 17 points in the fourth quarter is really disappointing. And then obviously 2 touchdowns they scored, both rushing touchdowns, including an Emmanuel Wilson rushing touchdown. Everything stunk, and they didn't have the ball. They had the ball for 24 minutes and 30 seconds, so that contributes. Last game is the Dolphins and the Browns. Dolphins win it 20-3. They are still alive. They need a win and a Broncos loss to the backups for the Chiefs, most likely, to get in the playoffs and lose to Buffalo. I think they would get the 7th seed if they got in, the Dolphins. Is there any chance they get higher?
Yes, whoever gets in, Denver, Cincy, Miami, or I guess the order would be Denver, Miami, Cincy, would be the 7th seed.
Oh, I don't think anyone wants to see the Bengals. But
No. That would be awesome. Bengals, Bills right now.
They're not that good, but still, you
They're
don't
not
want
that good. Like, it'd be fun because there'd be a lot of points, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're not that good.
you don't want to play the
I'd
best.
much rather watch that than Dolphins Bills round
The
3.
Broncos, Bills. Like,
I mean,
first off, can we? This is like one of the years where you want to see like the division winner not get rewarded. Like, kick the Texans out.
The Texans are really
the
terrible.
Broncos, to me, would be a much tougher battle for the Bills than the Dolphins. The Bills will kill the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Bills would kill the Broncos too.
I think if we're gonna say that they don't want to see the Bengals, we got to give a little bit of credit to the team that took the Bengals to overtime in Cincinnati.
But the last thing you want,
not that bad.
Look, we could easily say that the top 2 MVP candidates are who they are. If the Bengals were in contention right now, Joe Burrow's numbers are better than anybody's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
So the last thing you want to see anybody is that guy.
Of course.
I don't care what their defense looks like.
Dave, who's the biggest winner for you in this game? I honestly, because the game ended kind of late, I didn't even realize Jerry Jeudy had 12 catches for 94 yards on 18 targets. What a crazy stat line. But who's the biggest winner for you in this game?
Yeah, I mean, he got a ton of volume, but I don't want to give him the dub. It's Tyreek Hill who came through with his 3rd 100-yard game of the season. Only his 3rd 100-yard game of the season, but it came with Tyler Huntley. Expectations were low for Tyreek Hill. I had him crushed in my rankings, man. I did not feel good about Tyreek Hill being in my lineup. And you know what? I looked silly. He had a great game. He had a good first half, especially. And the 9 for 105, Tyreek isn't gone yet, everybody. He's still going to be a factor, hopefully.
I'll go with HN. I don't think he was hurt because he did play some in the second half.
He played
and
well in the fourth
he
quarter.
was in on the final drive, I think. So there was just a stretch in the third quarter, like the first half of the third quarter, where he just didn't play. They had a snap where they played Mostert, then they played Wilson, then they played Jalen Wright, and HM was just over on the sideline. And you mentioned it, Adam, like his targets haven't been there when Tyler Huntley has started, and his rushing production just hasn't been that good this year.
Yeah. And what they were sort of saying on the broadcast was that they were trying to run out the clock up the middle physical style, and they were just going with Mostert and Wilson a little bit there instead of Devon Achane.
Mostert and Wilson combined for almost as many snaps as Achane. Achane led the way, but it was with just 53% of the snaps. They used all 4 of their running backs in this game, the Dolphins did.
Biggest surprise, Jamey?
Who was the 4th?
Jalen Wright.
And Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson played more than Wright did.
I don't see Wright with a touch.
No, he played. He just didn't get a touch. Yeah.
Jamie, biggest surprise is that Jalen Wright didn't have a touch?
No, it's Jerry Jeudy. I mean, look, that was, we were basically saying you can't even trust Jeudy with DTR, and he got the assignment. No David Njoku. I know Aiken still had a decent game, 6 for 49, but just pepper Jerry Jeudy, and Jeudy had a ball in his hands in the end zone. He had plenty of opportunities to make plays. He had a few drops, understandably so, but anybody that's still stuck with him, you were rewarded handsomely.
Yes, you were. Congratulations. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson, career high, 170 passing yards today.
Oh, did you ever find out? I forget which FFT Open was, but somebody picked up Huntley. It was a pretty good fantasy day.
He did. I don't know why he picked him up. Who did he have in that league?
He had Purdy, I think. He probably should have just started Huntley.
Tyler Huntley, scored 26 points. Good 7. He led the Dolphins in rushing, 7 carries, 52 yards, and a touchdown. He also threw a touchdown to Johnny.
And he may start next week if Tua's hip is a problem.
Yeah. Folks, that's it for our show, our recap. If you haven't won yet,
Dolphins get in the playoffs. That's just crazy.
no, I just don't want that to happen. Just Broncos take care of business, whatever. We'll talk to you.
Broncos get in?
I mean, like the Bengals are not getting in. That's not going to happen. So
Why?
Because the Chiefs are going to start Chris Aloa-Ducon at quarterback this week to make sure they don't.
Yeah, come on. Broncos are not losing.
They want a division foe to get in?
They don't
I
care.
mean, I don't think they really care
They'd
because
rather it be them than the Bengals.
whoever they let in has to beat the Bills
Right.
before they get a chance to play them. So
They almost blew it against the Bengals in week 2.
but they almost blew it against the Broncos 2 weeks later.
Almost
They had to
blew it
block a
against
30-yard
everybody.
field goal.
They almost blown it against everybody. That's true.
No Beyond the Box score tomorrow. So we'll talk to you Tuesday with the waiver wire. See you later, everybody.